Captain Lee Hana pressed her fingers against the cold metal surface of the navigation console and stared at the holographic star map floating in front of her. The blue and white lights of distant stars filled the bridge of her ship, the stellar dawn with an eerie glow. She had been studying the same section of space for 3 hours now, and the red warning zones still made no sense to her. "Commander Park Jinwoo," she called across the bridge. Her voice echoed in the quiet space. "Come look at this." Park stood up from his workstation and walked over to where Hana was standing. He was tall for a human, with short black hair and tired eyes that had seen too many deep space missions. "What is it, Captain?" Hana pointed at the massive red areas scattered across the star chart. Each one covered dozens of star systems, and they were all marked with the same warning: extreme hazard, do not enter. "Why are these zones forbidden?" "I have asked every officer on this ship and nobody knows." Park frowned as he studied the map. "The records just say they have been off limits for over 50,000 years. That is older than most civilizations in the galaxy." 50,000 years, Hana repeated slowly. "That is before the Cathari even had spaceflight, before most species left their home planets." The bridge doors opened with a soft hiss, and Kim Soo-young walked in carrying a data pad. She was a Vorthak, one of the reptilian species that lived in the Outer Rim territories. Her green scales caught the light from the star map as she approached them. "Captain, I have been researching these forbidden zones in the archives," she said in her careful, precise way of speaking. "I found something strange." "What did you find?" Hana asked. "Every species I contacted refuses to talk about these areas. The eternal librarians of Arcturus, who keep records of everything that happens in the galaxy, told me only this: the Guardians still watch." Then they ended the communication. Park shook his head. "That makes no sense. Guardians of what?" Kim looked down at her data pad. "I asked the same question to the Council of Elder Races. Do you know what they told me? They said some doors should stay closed, and some questions should not be asked." Hana felt a chill run down her spine. In all her years as a survey captain, she had never seen the galactic community agree on anything so completely. Wars had been fought over trading routes and mining rights, but these zones were different. Every species, every government, every corporation simply avoided them. "Show me the energy readings," she said. Kim touched her data pad, and new information appeared on the star map. Strange patterns of energy flowed through the forbidden zones, unlike anything in their databases. The readings were so advanced that the ship's computers could not even classify them properly. "These energy signatures do not match any known technology," Kim said. "They are too organized to be natural phenomena, but too complex to be anything we understand." Park studied the readings carefully. "Captain, what if these zones are not empty? What if something is still there, waiting?" Before Hana could answer, Chief Engineer Choi Minho's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, please come to the sensor room. I think you need to see this." The 3 officers made their way through the ship's corridors to the sensor room, where Minho was, working at a large console covered in blinking lights and data screens. As a Zeltharian, he had 4 arms, which made him excellent at operating multiple systems at once. "I have been scanning the closest forbidden zone," he said without looking up from his work. "The readings are incredible. There are artificial structures in there, Captain. Big ones." "How big?" Hana asked. Minho finally turned to face them, and his expression was serious. "Bigger than space stations, bigger than the largest ships ever built. Some of them are the size of small moons." "That is impossible," Park said. "Nothing that large could be built with current technology." "That is exactly my point," Minho replied. "Whatever built these structures had technology far beyond anything we have today. And, Captain, there is something else. The structures are still active. They are using power, maintaining themselves, doing something." Hana felt her heart beating faster. "Are you saying there might be someone alive in there?" "I am saying the energy patterns suggest these structures have been operating continuously for thousands of years, maybe longer." Kim looked at her data pad again. Captain, I found one more piece of information in the old archives. Before these zones were marked as forbidden, they had a different designation. What did they say? Human territory. The bridge fell silent. Everyone in the galaxy knew about humans. They were in the history books as one of the first species to achieve faster-than-light travel. But they had disappeared from galactic records over 50,000 years ago. Most scientists believed they had gone extinct. Humans have been gone for 50,000 years, Park said quietly. Have they? Hana asked, staring at the forbidden zones on the star map. Or did they just decide to stay hidden? As she looked at those red warning areas scattered across the galaxy, a new thought entered her mind. What if the map said, do? Not enter, not because the areas were dangerous, but because someone was still living there. Someone who wanted to be left alone. Someone who had been watching the galaxy grow and change for 50,000 years. Captain Lee Hana stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dawn as her ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Forbidden Zone. The stars looked different here, somehow brighter and more organized than they should be. She had made the decision, 3 days ago, to disobey direct orders from the Galactic Council. Her crew trusted her, but she could see the worry in their eyes. All stop, she commanded. Begin scanning procedures. Lieutenant Lee Dong-hyuk worked quickly at the communications station. His fingers moved across the control panel as he tried to make sense of the readings. Captain, I am picking up signals, lots of them, but they are not like anything in our database. Commander Park Jin-woo looked up from his navigation console. The gravity readings are wrong too. There should be 3 stars in this system according to our maps, but the gravity suggests much more mass is present. Chief Engineer Choi Min-ho's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. Captain, our sensors are going crazy down here. The space around us is full of energy patterns that should not exist. Hana moved to the main viewing screen and stared out at what appeared to be empty space. But the sensor readings told a different story. Something was out there, hidden from their eyes but not from their instruments. Launch a reconnaissance probe, she ordered. Set it for maximum sensor sweep. The probe launched from their ship and began moving toward the center of the system. For several minutes, everything seemed normal. The probe sent back data about radiation levels, gravitational fields, and electromagnetic signatures. Then, without any warning, it simply vanished. Where did it go? Hana asked. Dong-hyuk checked his readings twice. Captain, the probe just disappeared. No explosion, no debris, no emergency signal. It was there 1 second and gone the next. Kim Soo-young, who had been studying the archaeological data at her station, suddenly looked up with wide eyes. Captain, something is scanning us, I can feel it. As a Vorthak, Kim had natural abilities that helped her sense electromagnetic fields. Her scales were standing up, which meant she was detecting something powerful nearby. Can you tell where it is coming from? Hana asked. Everywhere, Kim replied. We are surrounded. The main communication system crackled to life. Static filled the bridge for a moment, then cleared. When the voice came through, it spoke in perfect galactic common, the language used by all spacefaring species. Unidentified vessel you have. Entered restricted space. State your business in human territory. The bridge became completely silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing and stared at the communication speakers. The word human hung in the air like a physical thing. Park was the first to speak. That is impossible. Humans have been extinct for 50,000 years. Apparently not, Hana said quietly. She activated the response channel with shaking hands. This is Captain Lee Hana of the Galactic Survey Vessel Stellar Dawn. We are explorers from the Galactic Council. We believed humans were extinct. The response came immediately. Extinction is a choice, Captain Lee. We chose otherwise. As the voice spoke, the space around their ship began to change. Massive structures started to appear, as if they were uncloaking, or materializing from nothing. The objects were huge, larger than any space station Hana had ever seen. They seemed to be made of materials that caught and reflected light in impossible ways. By the stars, Minho whispered over the communication system. Captain, these structures are bigger than cities. One of the structures moved closer to their ship. It did not use any visible propulsion system, but glided through space as if the Laws of physics did not apply to it. As it approached, more details became visible. The surface was covered in patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. For 50,000 years we have maintained these boundaries, the voice continued, not to keep others out, but to give them time to grow. A new figure appeared on their main viewing screen. It looked human, but there was something different about the eyes. They were deeper, older, as if they had seen things that no normal person could imagine. I am designated Guardian Protocol Omega-7. You may call me Yang Minjae. Your species has reached an interesting point in its development. Kim stepped forward. You have been watching us? All this time? Every species that achieves faster than light travel eventually finds these zones, Yang explained. Most immediately attempt to claim our technology or attack our defenses. They fail the most basic test. What test? Hana asked. The test of wisdom over greed. The test of curiosity over conquest. Park looked around the bridge at the massive structures surrounding them. How many of you are there? Yang smiled, but it was not entirely happy. Enough. We spread across the galaxy long ago, but we chose to step back and let younger species find their own way. Some of us disagreed with this policy. They wanted to guide or control the development of other civilizations. The majority decided it was better to watch and wait. Wait for what? Hana asked. For species mature enough to join us as equals rather than subjects or enemies. The communication system beeped with an incoming priority message. Dongyuk checked his console and his face went pale. Captain, I am receiving emergency signals from the Galactic Council. Multiple battle fleets are heading toward our position. Yang's expression became serious. It seems your people have decided to respond to this discovery with force rather than diplomacy. How unfortunate. Now we must decide if your species is ready for the truth or if you need more time to grow. The stellar dawn trembled as invisible forces gently pulled it toward one of the massive structures. Captain Lee Hana gripped the command chair as her ship moved without using its own engines. Outside the viewing windows, the human construction grew larger and larger until it filled their entire view. Captain, our engines are not responding, Commander Park Jinwoo reported from his station, but we are not in danger. Whatever is moving us knows exactly what it is doing. Yang Minjae's image remained on the main screen. The human guardian watched them with those ancient eyes as their ship was guided into what appeared to be a docking bay large enough to hold 100 vessels their size. Do not be afraid, Yang said. We have been doing this for a very long time. No species has ever been harmed during first contact procedures. Chief Engineer Choi Minho's voice came through the communication system. Captain, I am reading atmosphere in the docking bay. The air is breathable for all our species. How did they know what we need? Because they have been watching, Kim Soo-young said quietly. They know everything about us. The ship settled gently onto a platform that seemed to be made of the same strange material as the station itself. Through the windows they could see walkways and corridors that glowed with soft light. Everything looked both ancient and impossibly advanced at the same time. Captain Lee, Yang said, would you and your senior officers join me? There are things you need to see before the other fleets arrive. Hana looked around at her crew. They were scared, but also curious. This was the greatest discovery in galactic history, and they were the first to experience it. How long do we have? The fastest ships will arrive in approximately 6 hours, Yang replied. That should be enough time for the basic introduction. Hana selected her away team, Park, Kim, Minho, and Lieutenant Dongyuk. They put on their environmental suits and made their way to the docking port. When the doors opened, they found themselves breathing clean, warm air that smelled faintly of growing things. Yang Minjae stood waiting for them. In person, he looked more human than he had on the screen, but there was still something different about him. He moved with a grace that seemed almost like floating, and his skin had a slight glow to it. Welcome to Guardian Station Omega, he said. This facility has been operational for 47,000 years. It maintains itself and has never needed major repairs. How is that possible? Minho asked. As an engineer, He was fascinated by any technology he could not understand. Your species thinks of machines as tools that break down and need replacement, Yang explained as he led them through corridors lined with softly pulsing walls. We learned long ago to create technology that grows and adapts, like living things. They walked through sections of the station that defied easy description. Some areas looked like gardens with plants that seemed to be made of light itself. Other sections contained machinery that hummed with power but had no visible moving parts. Where are the other humans? Kim asked. Some are here in various forms. Others are scattered across the galaxy in different installations. Many chose to explore beyond this galaxy entirely. Humans have always been curious about what lies beyond the next horizon. They entered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays. The images showed scenes from across the galaxy. Different worlds, different species, different civilizations rising and falling over thousands of years. This is our monitoring center, Yang said. We watch everything that happens in this part of the galaxy. We record, we learn, and when necessary, we act. Park stared at one display that showed his own homeworld. You have been watching our planet? We have been watching all the planets with intelligent life. Do you see that asteroid field near your system? 3,000 years ago, a large asteroid was heading directly for your world. It would have caused an extinction event. What happened to it? Park asked. We redirected it very carefully, very quietly. Your people never knew they were in danger. Dongyuk pointed to another display. That looks like the Vorthak homeworld. Is that a volcano erupting? 7,000 years ago, Yang nodded. The eruption would have covered the planet in ash and killed most life. We helped stabilize the geological activity. Kim's scales rippled with emotion. You saved my people. We have saved many peoples, sometimes from natural disasters, sometimes from diseases, occasionally from each other. We do not interfere in normal development, but we prevent total destruction when possible. Minho was studying the walls of the chamber itself. Guardian Yang, what powers all of this? The energy requirements must be enormous. We learned to work with stars themselves. Each of our major installations draws power directly from stellar cores. We also discovered how to convert matter and energy in ways that your science has not yet imagined. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The displays changed to show multiple fleets of ships approaching the forbidden zone from different directions. Another human materialized next to Yang. This one looked female and wore an expression of concern. Guardian Yang, we have 17 battle fleets converging on this position. The Galactic Defense Force, the Corporate Syndicate, the Hegemony of Krell, and several others. Thank you, Guardian Osung-hoon, Yang said calmly. Captain Lee, it appears your discovery has caused quite a reaction. Hana felt sick to her stomach. They will try to take your technology by force. Yes, they will try. This has happened before with other species. Some learn from the experience, others do not. What will you do? Park asked. Yang looked at the approaching fleets on the displays. Ships of war from across the galaxy, all heading toward the same destination. We will teach them the same lesson we have taught others. Power without wisdom is dangerous to everyone, including those who possess it. The displays showed more structures awakening throughout the system. Ancient guardians that had waited in silence for thousands of years began to move. Guardian Yang Minjae led Captain Lee Hana and her officers deeper into the station. The corridors changed as they walked, walls shifting from metal to something that looked like living crystal. The air itself seemed to hum with energy that made their skin tingle. Before we deal with your approaching fleets, Yang said, you must understand what you have discovered. Knowledge without wisdom has destroyed more civilizations than any weapon. They entered a circular chamber where the floor was transparent. Below them, Hana could see the vast depths of space, but it was filled with structures that stretched beyond sight. Cities floating in the void, connected by bridges of light that spanned impossible distances. This is one of our smaller installations, Yang explained. We have been building for 50,000 years. Kim Soo-young pressed her hands against the transparent floor. How many humans are there? That depends on how you define human, Yang replied. Some of us kept our original forms. Others chose to become something different. A few became part of the machines themselves. We learned long ago that consciousness is not limited to flesh and blood. The walls around them began to glow, and suddenly, they were standing in the middle of what appeared to be ancient Earth. Cities rose around them filled with humans going about their daily lives. But these were not holograms. They could feel the sun on their faces and smell the air. This is our history, Yang said. We show this to every species that finds us. The scene changed. They watched humans build their first spacecraft, take their first steps on other worlds, meet their first alien species. The images were beautiful and full of hope. Your people were explorers, Park Jinwoo said. Yes, but we were also something else. The peaceful scenes vanished. Now they stood in the middle of a war zone. Human ships fired massive weapons at each other while planets burned below them. Cities were destroyed in seconds by weapons that turned matter into energy. We were very good at destruction, Yang said sadly. For 1,000 years we fought wars that killed billions. We nearly destroyed ourselves and several other species. Lieutenant Donghyuk stepped back from an explosion that seemed real enough to kill him. What stopped you? We learned something important. The most dangerous enemy is not someone who hates you. It is someone who thinks exactly like you do. The war scenes faded, replaced by images of humans working together with dozens of other species. They were building something massive in space, all of them contributing their different skills and knowledge. We discovered that true strength comes not from being the most powerful, but from helping others become powerful too. Yang continued. So we began to change our entire civilization. The images showed humans spreading across the galaxy, but not as conquerors. They were teachers, healers, builders. They helped other species develop technology, solve problems, avoid the mistakes that humans had made. But then you disappeared, Hana said. We made a choice. We realized that every species we helped became dependent on us. They stopped growing, stopped learning, stopped becoming what they could be. We decided to step back and let the galaxy develop on its own. Another human appeared in the chamber with them. This one looked older, with silver hair and kind eyes. I am Guardian Shin Hyona. I have been monitoring the approaching fleets. They are not coming to talk. Yang nodded. Show us. The chamber filled with images of the 17 battle fleets, massive warships from different species, all heading toward the same point in space. Some were sleek and fast, others were heavily armored. All of them carried enough weapons to destroy entire planets. The Galactic Defense Force is planning to capture the station, Shin reported. The corporate syndicate wants to claim salvage rights. The hegemony of Krell is simply planning to destroy everything they cannot understand. They think we are weak because we have been hiding, Yang said. They believe that advanced technology means advanced weapons. Minho studied the approaching ships. Can you stop them? The question is not whether we can stop them, Yang replied. The question is whether we should. The images changed again. This time they showed other species that had found human installations over the thousands of years. Some had approached with curiosity and respect. Others had come with weapons and greed. The Eternal Seekers found us 12,000 years ago, Yang explained. They came to learn and to share knowledge. We helped them develop technology that allowed them to explore other galaxies. They are still our friends. A new image appeared. The destroyer cult found us 8,000 years ago. They demanded our weapons and threatened to kill us if we refused. We had to defend ourselves. The scene showed a battle that lasted only minutes. The destroyer cult's massive fleet was simply frozen in space, their weapons powerless, their ships unable to move. What happened to them? Park asked. We sent them home with their memories changed. They forgot they had ever found us. Sometimes mercy requires deception. And now our people are coming with the same attitudes, Hana said quietly. Yes. Your species is being tested, Captain Lee. Not by us, but by your own choices. How you handle This situation will determine whether humans reveal themselves to the galaxy or remain hidden for another 1,000 years. The chamber filled with new images showing the current situation. The battle fleets were only 2 hours away now, and they were spreading out to surround the entire system. "What do you need from us?" Hana asked. "You must contact your people and convince them to stop. If they attack us, we will defend ourselves. But once that happens, the relationship between humans and the rest of the galaxy will be changed forever." Shin looked at the approaching fleets with sadness in her eyes. 50,000 years of hiding ended by fear and greed. Not ended, Yang corrected. Changed. The question is whether it changes for the better or for the worse. The first battle fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the human system with weapons already charged. Admiral Kim Tae-hyung of the Galactic Defense Force stared at his tactical display and saw what appeared to be empty space. His sensors detected the energy signatures they were looking for, but his eyes saw nothing. "All ships, maintain attack formation," he broadcast to the 17 fleets surrounding the system. "Begin scanning for the source of these readings." On Guardian Station Omega, Captain Lee Hana watched the approaching ships through the station's displays. Her heart pounded as she recognized the markings on the lead vessels. These were not exploration ships. They were warships built for destruction. "Guardian Yang," she said urgently, "let me talk to them. Maybe I can make them understand." Yang Minji shook his head sadly. "Captain, look at their formation, look at their weapons. They did not come here to talk." The communication system crackled as Admiral Kim's voice filled the chamber. "Unknown installations, this is Admiral Kim Tae-hyung of the Galactic Defense Force. You are in violation of galactic law. Surrender your technology immediately or we will take it by force." Guardian Shin Hyona appeared beside Yang with a grim expression. "The corporate syndicate is moving to flanking positions. The hegemony of Krell is charging their planet killer weapons." Yang closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, they seemed to glow with inner light. 50,000 years of patience ends today. The space around the battle fleets began to change. Stars that had seemed normal suddenly blazed brighter as massive rings of construction material became visible around them. These were Dyson spheres, structures that completely surrounded stars to capture their energy. "By the void," Admiral Kim whispered as his sensors registered the true size of what they were facing. But that was only the beginning. Ring worlds the size of planetary orbits materialized from stealth fields. Space stations larger than moons uncloaked throughout the system. Stellar engineering projects that had been running for millennia came online, their purpose now clear. The humans had not been hiding in small outposts. They had transformed entire star systems into living spaces and industrial centers. The scale was beyond anything the galactic civilizations had ever imagined. Guardian Yang's voice echoed across all communication channels, reaching every ship in the 17 fleets simultaneously. "You came seeking to plunder what you believed were ruins. You will find instead that humanity never left. We simply chose to step back and let you grow." The weapons of the battle fleets powered down without their crews activating any controls. Ships found themselves held in place by gravity fields that treated the laws of physics like gentle suggestions, rather than absolute rules. Admiral Kim tried to fire his main weapons, but nothing happened. "All ships report status." "Admiral, our weapons are offline," came the reply from ship after ship. "We cannot target anything. Our ships are not responding to navigation commands." Captain Hana watched from the station as another figure materialized. In the chamber. This was Guardian Lee Ji-hoon, and he looked tired, as if he had been carrying a heavy burden for a very long time. "The test is complete," he announced. 17 different civilizations responded to the discovery of human technology, with immediate military action. No attempts at peaceful contact, no offers of cooperation, only threats and violence. Park Jin-woo stared at the displays showing the disabled fleets. "What will happen to them?" "The same thing that has happened to others who failed this test," Yang replied. "They will be sent home with their memories adjusted. They will forget they ever found us." "But Captain Lee and her crew passed the test," Shin pointed out. "They came with curiosity, not conquest." Yang looked at Hana and her officers. "Yes, Which means the choice is now yours, Captain. Do we reveal ourselves to the galaxy or do we remain hidden? Before Hana could answer, Chief Engineer Minho spoke up. What if there was another option? What do you mean? Yang asked. You have been protecting the galaxy for 50,000 years, but you have been doing it alone. What if some of us joined you? What if instead of revealing humanity to everyone, you revealed humanity to those who prove they are ready? Yang and the other Guardians exchanged glances. This was not something they had considered. A gradual revelation, Shin said thoughtfully. Species that show wisdom and maturity could be invited to join the Guardians. Those that do not would remain unaware until they are ready. It would mean the end of complete secrecy, Lee warned. Once the knowledge exists, it will eventually spread. Yang looked out at the disabled fleets, then back at Captain Hana. What do you think, Captain? Your species would be the first to know the full truth. Are you ready for that responsibility? Hana thought about everything she had seen. The incredible technology, the patient Guardians, the 50,000 years of silent protection. I think we are ready to try, but not all of us. Just those who can prove they understand what it means. Yang smiled, and for the first time it was a completely happy expression. Then let us begin again. The maps will be updated. They will no longer say, "Do not enter." Instead, they will say, "Humanity lives here," serving as both invitation to those who come in peace and warning to those who do not. As the disabled fleets were gently escorted away from human space, their crews would wake up tomorrow believing they had been on routine patrol missions. But Captain Lee Hana and her crew would remember everything. They had just become the first ambassadors to a civilization that had been gardening the galaxy for 50,000 years.